Okie dokie artichokes, hello friends and welcome to another day of Crochet and Crime. My name is Hazy Baby and today is the 25th of the 5th 2023. If you're new to my channel then welcome in. Obviously I'm not showing my face today, but normally I do with a nice big smile, but today I just don't feel up to it, so I hope that's okay. If not, too bad. So I crochet while talking about crime. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, please do, because every little, sub helps. Okay, let's get started. So I'm just working on 9 squares, doing my own pattern, obviously. That's what I do. So this is the first square that I did. Now I'm just doing the other 8 so that I don't get too far behind, and then I will do the next probably 8 rows and then do them all over again. So yeah, if you follow my other videos, then you can go have a look at the start and you can see where I started and how I do these. It's like I said, it's not a pattern. I just do what I want. And yeah, this is obviously what I want to do. So yesterday and the day before and the day before that, I have been talking about this poor great-grandmother in Australia who was tasered by a police officer and was in a critical condition in hospital. Well, unfortunately, she has died. So the great-grandmother dies, and in the early hours of the morning, hold on, I'm just going to open up the story I read to you. So she's died a week after she was allegedly tasered by the police officer in the Snowy Mountains aged care facility. So Claire Nowland was her name. Hold on. And yeah, she was tasered by a police officer while using her walker, and she had a steak knife, and he felt so threatened by her that he tasered her. She fell and hit her head and was receiving end-of-life care, and her life ended just after, in the early hours this morning. So her family are obviously well and truly devastated, as you would expect them to be. And yeah. So the constable has now been charged with grievous bodily harm, occasioning assault, actual bodily harm, and common assault. And now, since she has died, I would say he's also probably going to be charged with manslaughter, but they're the 3 charges he has thus far. And he remains suspended from duty with pay, and he will go to court on July 5th. And that's basically it. That's my update for that. So yeah, I'm glad that that has come to an end, but I'm sad that that is the ending, if that makes sense. So schoolgirls allegedly break into a vape shop in Adelaide. I mean, okay. Way to go, Carol. So 2 preteens have been charged following an alleged robbery in a vape shop in Adelaide. Yeah, you heard that correctly, preteens, so they weren't even teenagers yet. A pair of 12-year-old girls allegedly broke into Hero Vapes. 1, 2, 3. The girls can be seen taking a haul of vapes before fleeing the scene. They disarm the store's security system and on the CCTV footage, but don't take the CCTV footage with them. The store owner, David, said he would increase his security measures following the break-in. They threw a brick through the window, so not very secure, I suppose, and rummaged through the stock, grabbed some vapes and ran off. So they basically just broke in, got what they wanted, and then, yeah, ran off. Went on their merry way, if you will. So they also went round the back, went to the power board and cracked some switches. Police dog squad tracked down the alleged suspects shortly after the break-in, and they were charged with criminal trespassing and theft. The alleged break-in comes in after the government has brought in a ban on vape sales without prescriptions. So, yeah. Look, I feel like we almost got rid of cigarettes, and then They brought in vapes, and vapes are like much worse than cigarettes. And there was all these young kids thinking that, it's just okay, it's so much better than a vape. But no, it's not better than a cigarette. It's not any better than a cigarette. In fact, some vapes can carry up to 5 times as much nicotine as a cigarette, as a single cigarette. So, yep. So, yeah. Prescription only vapes, apparently. But prescription for what? For tobacco? For nicotine? Seems kind of weird. 4, 5, and 6. So, yeah. That's great. So, now to a different story out of Melbourne. So, a man has been charged over assaulting a cameraman who was covering his home invasion in Melbourne's west. So, the man has been charged with an alleged assault on a cameraman in Melbourne's far west. The camera operator was covering an alleged attack at the address on Fraser Street in Milton South when he was allegedly assaulted on May 15th. And I did tell you guys this story, and it was the story where it didn't make any sense, because all of a sudden the writer started talking about the cameraman, and I was like, well, why do we care about the cameraman? So now it makes sense days later. So police, hey, where'd you go? There you go. Police have arrested the 26-year-old Milton man on Wednesday afternoon following a crash in an alleged stolen vehicle in Brintley Street, more than 60 kilometres away from the car in the southeast of Melbourne. So give me a second. The man, who police have said fled the scene on a May 15th incident, faces a raft of charges and was remanded in custody to appear at Maryborough Magistrates Court on Thursday. On Tuesday, another man was charged over the original alleged burglary and said to have taken place in Milton South more than 2 weeks before the cameraman was left with non-life-threatening injuries. So a group allegedly smashed their way into the property armed with a rifle and a machete and a baton and assaulted the 3 people that were inside. So you remember I spoke about that last week. Police are still searching for the several other suspects behind the attack at the home in Fraser Street at about 4 a.m. on April 2nd. A 21-year-old Newcombe man was on Tuesday arrested over an incident and charged with aggravated home invasion and aggravated burglary, conduct endangering a life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And prohibited persons possessions firearmed, theft of a motor vehicle, and using a firearm in a counter-invention of the firearms prohibited order and breach of condition of bail. Like I said yesterday, why do they have to make these such big mouthful names? It seems like there's more ways to describe criminal acts than there are criminal acts. So a 22-year-old Geelong man has also been arrested and charged with possession of cannabis, and a 21-year-old Newcombe woman has been interviewed for and released pending further inquiries after police carried out 5 search warrants yesterday over the incident. So, okay. The searches occurred after police called for the public's help to track down the group behind the alleged targeted attack early this month, releasing CCTV footage of it. Police allege 4 men wearing balaclavas stormed into the house, firing shots and demanding cash and assaulting those inside the house. 2 women aged 44 and 67 and a 31-year-old man. The man sustained a significant knife wound to his face and was later transported to hospital for treatment. The woman suffered only minor injuries, which is good. After searching the property, the men found the safe and allegedly stole a significant quantity of jewellery. They allegedly fled on foot before stealing a white Volkswagen Polo from the address, which was later found burnt out in North Shore. Police allege another vehicle, a white Mazda CX-5, with a sticker on the back windscreen was later used by the group. Officers seized the Mazda CX-5 and a number of knives, what appears to be cannabis, and a quantity of white powder during raids on Tuesday. The investigation remains ongoing, and anyone who has any information regarding this incident or any incidents around this incident are urged to contact police with the information. So, okay. Alrighty, let's move on. Okay, let's move over to the US now. So, I mostly talk about Australian crime, but occasionally I do talk about American crime. I've talked about a couple of Mexican crimes, one in El Salvador, and other places around the world. So it's just basically whatever is like tickles my fancy at the time, and this one tickles my fancy because we all know how much I love fraud. Well, how much I love talking about fraud. So a US father and son have been sentenced to prison over a $30 million lottery scam. I just want to know how they did it. That's a lot. I mean, obviously they didn't get away with it. So a Massachusetts father and son have been sentenced in the US federal courts for a scheme that saw the pair illegally claim more than $20 million USD or 30.6 million Australian in lottery winnings. The pair also lied on their tax returns to dodge more than $6 million US or 9.2 million dollars Australian in federal taxes, prosecutors said. I don't know how they did the fraud though. Ali Jafar, 63, old Jafar, was sentenced to 5 years in prison, while his 29-year-old son, Yosef Jafar, was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in prison. The U.S. Attorney's Office of the District, Massachusetts, said in a Monday police report, news report, that they had been convicted. They were ordered to pay over $6 million or 9.2 million in restitution and forfeit the profits from their scheme. I still don't understand how the scheme went, and I don't think they're going to explain it to us because then someone else might do the scheme. But I don't understand how it went. So, in December, the two were convicted for one count of conspiracy to defraud an international revenue service, one count of conspiracy to commit money laundering, and one count each of filing a false tax return. So this is a case at its core of elaborate tax fraud. Okay, that's how they did it. Over the course of a decade, the father and son team defrauded the Massachusetts State Lottery Commission and the IRS and pocketed millions of hard-earned taxpayers' dollars. Acting U.S. Joshua Levy said in a news release, these defendants worked together to recruit a wide network of co-conspirators to spread their lottery scams across Massachusetts, avoiding detection by repeatedly lying to government officials. I mean, that's the way to go. Virgil S. Carter, an attorney for Ali and Yosef, told CNN in an email on Tuesday that it's the Jafar's intention to appeal for the First Circuit Court of Appeals. Muhammad Jafar, another of Jafar's sons, was also involved in a plot and pled guilty last year to conspiracy to defraud the IRS and was sentenced in July. CNN has reached out to his attorney for a comment, but he refused to give one. The case is simply an extensive effort of lotteries will take in partnership for law enforcement to assist the prevention of illegal activities. The decision is the accumulation of years of hard work to maintain the integrity of the lottery. So I think they were either selling fake lottery tickets or they were not claiming winnings. I'm really confused about how they went about defrauding it. But it was something to do with money laundering charges. So... here we go. I found some more information. Give me a second. How the scheme worked. So from at least 2011 through to at least 2020, the defendants conspired with others known and unknown to the grand jury to launder funds from Massachusetts state lottery winnings of others, an indictment said. So they laundered the money from the winnings, and then their winnings mustn't be like ours. It mustn't be tax-free. The men would buy winning lottery tickets from people across the state who wanted to sell their ticket for cash discount instead of claiming their prize. Oh, okay, that's how it worked. That meant that the real winners avoided identification by the state's lottery commission, which is required to withhold outstanding taxes, back taxes, and child support payments before paying for the prize. Oh, okay, so that's how they work. So basically, if you win a prize and you owe money in tax, if you win a prize and you owe child support, they take it out of that first. If you owe the government money, they take it first, which makes actual sense. So they were pretty much being the intermediary middleman by the sounds of it. So they would buy winning tickets for a discounted price and giving the people cash, and then claiming the tickets and then defrauding the government their own way as well, because they didn't pay tax on themselves. So after buying the discounted tickets from the winners with the help of the convenience stores owners that would facilitate the transaction, the defendants would claim the money to the commission as their own and the release added. So dozens of lottery retailers that participated in this scam will have their lottery agency licenses revoked by Massachusetts State Commission. So it must have been when they must have like gotten to people when they had gone to the store, like to actually put in their prize. They must have convinced them I don't know how they convinced them though, but they must have. Now, do I want to go this color next, or do I want to do this one? That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do with all that junk inside your junk. Yeah, that's the one I'm gonna do. Okie dokie. So yeah, instead of using their business savvy skills to build a legitimate multi-generational family business, the Jafars carried out a complex decade-long tax and lottery scams, building on vast networks of co-conspirators to further their illegal activities. And the IRS criminal investigation in Boston has sent a release of the information that they have gathered. So that was definitely an interesting case, and I don't know whether I would be happy about that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of impressed and also kind of like despondent about it at the same time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I suppose the people who were getting their lottery winnings, the cash, weren't doing the right thing either. I mean, that's probably how they got caught. Probably tried to do it to the wrong person. Or, you know, it's very suspicious. The likelihood of you winning lotto once is like, you know, 1 in fucking 3 million or something. So the likelihood of them winning, you know, over and over and over again would be kind of a bit weird. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like red flag, something shocking. Red flags. What do you think? Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. So this camera doesn't really give this color very much justice. So under the fluorescent light, it does look really orange, but it's actually not. It's like the same color as my freckles. It's like a burnt orange, burnt peach even. Okay, let's move on to our next story. So 4 people and 2 dogs are injured during a horror home invasion in the north of Sydney. So 5 armed men allegedly forced their way into a house on Forbes Street in Muswellbrook before 1:15 a.m. on March 4th, demanding money and assaulting a 59-year-old man and a 47-year-old woman and a 20-year-old man and a 19-year-old woman who were all inside. All 4 victims were taken to the John Hunter Hospital for treatment. Police said that 2 dogs were also struck with machetes during the attack, and they had been treated by a veterinarian. So the dogs who were just trying to defend their poor owners were also attacked. How sad's that? So detectives have today released the CCTV footage of the man they want to track down after the incident. He's described as being in First Nations appearance or Aboriginal appearance, age between 30 to 35 and about 160 to 170 centimeters tall, with a solid build and an unshaven face. I mean, he could have shaved by now, let's face it. He can also be seen wearing a dark-coloured jacket and a cap on the footage, so it's a bit hard to make out his actual distinguishing features. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So anyone with any information that may assist investigators is urged to contact the police, because any help counts. So police have charged a 29-year-old woman over the investigation with 2 counts of dishonestly obtaining property by deception and receiving property of theft after a key card allegedly stolen during the home invasion was used at a service station on Arthur Street in Wellington on April 6th. She was refused bail at Dubbo local court and will face court again next week. So hopefully they find this person, the other person who broke in and attacked these poor people, and luckily no one was murdered or severely injured, but they were quite shaken and you know, and rightfully so. I think I would be quite shaken if someone broke into my house with machetes and tried to, you know, unalive me and my poor animals. Poor animals, that's all I can think of. I'm thinking of poor babies. Someone please think of the babies. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okie dokie. Let's get on to our next story for the day. Okay, so a man has been charged with attempted murder after 4 police officers were injured near Toowoomba. So a Queensland man has been charged with attempted murder after 4 police officers were injured in a violent chase outside of Toowoomba yesterday. So 3 of the officers are out of the hospital, but the 4th, a 54-year-old senior constable, remains in a serious condition after being airlifted from the scene to Brisbane Hospital. The officer, Detective Sergeant Constable, Senior Constable, Stephen Ingerson, age 54, from the Toowoomba Property Crime Squad, was in a coma overnight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But has since woken, so that's good news. I mean, waking up from a coma is always a bonus, one would assume. Family members have been able to speak to him for the first time since he was rushed to the Princess Alexandra Hospital yesterday. He suffered from a significant hip and pelvis injury as well as suspected internal bleeding. He will be assisted by medical professionals today, and it will be a long road for recovery for him. And the Queensland Police Union boss, Ian Levitt, said they will be supporting him as much as they can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which is so nice. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. One of the officers has a broken collarbone. Police allege that the 45-year-old accused was behind the wheel of a stolen Hino truck when it was spotted by officers outside of Toowoomba at 1... Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Okay, that's good. Spotted by officers outside of Toowoomba at 1:20 p.m. yesterday. The Hino was, I don't know how you say it, Hino was flagged down by police, but as they opened the truck door, the driver accelerated, trapping the officers between the truck and their police car before they were thrown across the bonnet and down the road. Police allege that the truck then sped off, leaving the seriously injured officer on the road before he was followed by 2 more patrol cars to Gumbunji Waste Management Plant. What a champion, guys. The truck driver then allegedly deliberately rammed both police cars, causing extensive damage, and if you can see the pictures, oh my god, so much damage, to the vehicles, and chased the two officers and caused them minor injuries before he was arrested. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The man from Oakey is facing a string of charges, including 2 counts of attempted murder, unlawful use of a motor vehicle, breaking and entering, willful damage, evading police, and possession of serious dangerous drugs. Of course he was, because he was on drugs. And drugs are bad, okay? Why are all these people on drugs? This is your brain on drugs. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Crazy, crazy. It's a crazy world we live in. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy when all your love is gone. So he will appear in Toowoomba's Magistrate Court a little bit later on today, hopefully. The truck has allegedly been stolen at 4 a.m. that morning, along with a Hilux ute which had been incepted by nearby Charlton 3 hours earlier using a tire deflation device. So 2 men aged 19 and 28 were arrested at the scene and have since been charged with various offences, including stealing, unlawful use of a motor vehicle, and drug offences. They're always on drugs. Everyone's on drugs. Why? They will both appear at the Toowoomba Magistrates Court this morning, so they have appeared, alongside of the 45-year-old. Levers said the incident has rocked the policing community and the community of the Southern Darling Downs. Which it would. I mean, that's pretty shocking. Toowoomba's usually a pretty quiet town. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's pretty big. It's a big town, but it's like a big city, but it's usually quiet. So, yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Alrighty, so ex-NRL player Fanu, I think it's how you say his name, appeals verdict after a stabbing. So former NRL rising star Menaeus Fanu, I feel like that's how you say his name, I'm so sorry if I've said it incorrectly, is challenging a jury's verdict that he stabbed a church youth leader outside of a Mormon charity event in Sydney. So Fanu was found guilty in August last year for wounding a man named Levi with the intent to cause grievous bodily harm at Wattle Grove on the 25th of October 2019. He received a minimum jail sentence of 8 years in December with a non-parole period of 4 years and 3 months. His challenge to what he claims was an unreasonable verdict came briefly before the New South Wales Court of Criminal Appeal on Thursday. A 2-hour hearing has been set down for September 15th. At that time, Fanu will only seek to overturn the verdict. If that fails, he will not attack the sentence itself. In the last year jury trial, one witness testified to seeing Fanu plunge a steak knife into the back of Levi in the car park brawl, referring to him looking angry and wearing a sling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What a coward. He stabbed him in the back. You coward. The jury was told that the footballer had recently undergone shoulder surgery and had his arm in a sling that evening. So what? You're in pain, so you put someone else in pain? The stabbing occurred after an earlier fight on the dance floor of an alcohol-free charity event organised by a Church of Latter-day Saints. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. The jurors were told that Fanu and a friend known as Big Buck were involved, of course he was named Big Buck, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, were involved in a fight and ushered outside by Levi, who pretty much told him to piss off. The and they told him to like pretty much not fight and leave the church grounds. So the CCTV footage showed Fanu with a white towel draped over his head and 4 friends jumping back over the fence in the car park where the brawl occurred with Levi. In 2018, Fanu was on track to earn a massive salary as a promising rugby league player. And however, this has lost him that chance once he was charged with this offence, obviously. So, thanks to the NRL's no fault stand down policy. I love it. I love it. I also think the NRL is doing an amazing job at making sure that people who are doing the wrong thing are punished. I will give them that. They dob people in and they make sure that the right people are punished. Because, like I said, these people are held up in esteem to children and teenagers alike. Okie dokie. So this next story is regarding Melissa Caddick. It's regarding her husband. And his withholding of information. So if you don't know who Melissa Caddick is, back in 2019, she pretty much blew the coronavirus off the front page of the newspapers because she defrauded her family and friends with a Ponzi scheme, basically, of 30 or was it 50 million? I don't know. It was a lot of millions of dollars. And then she abruptly went missing. And they never found her alive, but they did find her foot in her tennis shoe on a beach in Sydney. So she is presumed dead. Because I'm pretty sure that she is dead. There's speculation that she jumped off of what we call the Gap in Sydney. And there's also speculation that she was like some sort of evil mastermind con artist and she's living the high life somewhere else. I think that's just wishful thinking on her family's part, but I honestly believe that she probably just took a short leap off the Gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I was like, where's the rest of her body? Floating around the sea somewhere inside, a shark's belly or something. I don't know. Obviously she got eaten. So a coroner has dismissed a claim by Melissa Caddick's husband that he didn't know anything about her disappearance. So when she originally disappeared, he claimed that she just got up one morning, went for a jog, and he doesn't know what happened to her. So more than 2 years after the con woman's mysteriously vanished, Deputy State Coroner Elizabeth Ryan found she died, but could not figure out how, when, or where. Ryan said detectives should have referred to her November 2020 disappearance in the New South Wales Homicide Squad. Earlier dismissal of the possibility that Caddick had been harmed by another person 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, created the risk that the information which might shape the direction of the investigation might have been lost, the coroner said during her findings on Thursday. The inquest also found that the missing fraudster's husband, Anthony Coletti, could not be ruled out as being involved in her disappearance, with Ryan calling his inconsistent evidence as regrettable. Coletti pushed through the media pack and appeared to shove a reporter as questions were asked of him, basically, about his wife outside court earlier this morning. It's fair to say that he was not creating further inconsistencies, and he was attempting to account for them with opaque and at times unintelligible explanations. I mean, he's not the brightest crayon in the box, guys. The part-time hairdresser, should say everything, and DJ was contradicted himself on multiple occasions during the inquest, suggesting that Caddick was a keen runner and had potentially gone for a jog the morning of her disappearance, despite CCTV footage showing that she had not gone for a run in weeks. Explanations which he offered for many of the contradictions simply didn't make sense, Ryan said. His lawyer, Judy Swan, put his murky evidence down to his limited intellectual capacity. However, Ryan didn't agree. He has too many indiscrepancies. They are too numerous and too persistent to be attributed to stress and a lack of intellectual sophistication, she said. The inquest found that Coletti had some awareness of Caddick's movements during the days before and after her disappearance, but made no conscious choice to disclose it, by the looks of it. Ryan opened her findings by saying that she believed that Caddick is dead. I believe it's appropriate for me to say at the onset that I conclude that Melissa Caddick is deceased, she said. However, a more problematic issue is there enough evidence to say how she died? So the long-running coroner examination delved into the circumstances leading... What have I done here? I think I've got one too many, but that's okay. I'll just squish it in there. Where was I? Leading to the 49-year-old fraudster's disappearance and her mindset at the time. Caddick's badly decomposed right foot in a running shoe washed up on a beach in the south coast of New South Wales 3 months after her disappearance, leading authorities to presume that she was dead. Presume that she was dead. Presume that she was dead? I don't know. How do you say opulent? Do you say opulent or do you say opulence? Opulence. I heard someone else say that the other day and I was like, that's not how you say opulent. Bish, please. All right, those 3 are done. That color's done. I'm going to pick this up and then move on to the last 3. These last 3 here. And I need this middle. Back to the middle and around again. I'm going to be there to the end, 100%. Pure love. There it is. There is my middle. A little bit tangled. What do you guys think of my new nail polish? I tend to like dye my nails or paint my nails the same color as the project that I'm working on. So I don't know why I do that. I just do. So when I was doing the pink one, they were pink. When I was doing the multicolored one, they were multicolored. When I did the purple one, they were purple and blue. And now I've gone with this lovely, like, it's like an opal paint. Anyway, I think it's pretty. I think it's really pretty. So, any more information? So, police and investigators from Corporate Regulations ASIC raided Caddick's Dover Heights home in November 11 of 2020. 2 days later, she was reported missing by her husband. The officer in charge of the investigation into her disappearance, Detective Sergeant Michael Fossacole, told the inquiry last year that he believed the fraudster took her own life. I think it makes sense, but anyway. Caddick, a self-styled financial advisor, preyed on mostly friends and family to steal up to, there you go, $30 million. I knew it was 30. Through her investment scams, using the money to fund her lavish lifestyle before she disappeared. Her eastern suburbs mansion was sold for close to $10 million in January. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is good because it claims some of that money back. And a collection of jewelry once owned by the fraudster has also attracted a large sum, with a recent auction generating $800,000 that will go towards paying back victims. But obviously, they're not going to be able to get back the full $30 million, but anything they can get back for victims will be greatly appreciated, I am sure, by the victims of her fraud. And no doubt it cost the government a fair penny too. No doubt, no doubt. Sweet, 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 sweet. Okay. 3. And that's all I have about that story. So I think that in the years to come, we'll probably find out more regarding Melissa Caddick, and hopefully we'll find out what actually happened to her. Maybe we'll find the rest of her body, although I very much doubt it. I think it'll be like the Beaumont children who we never know what actually happened to them. They went missing, all 3 of them. But yeah, I didn't do Missing Monday, I just realised. I just had a light bulb moment. I was like, light bulb, I didn't do Missing Monday. That's okay. I can do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do Missing Monday, but on a Friday. I'll do it tomorrow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's move to the next story, shall we? Okay, so a pair have been charged after allegedly keeping women as domestic slaves at a Melbourne home. Jeebus, creepers. 1, 2, 3, 4. How did they do that? 5, 6. So a couple have been charged with the modern-day slavery offences after allegedly keeping a woman as a domestic slave at their home in Melbourne's... I just can't get over this. In Melbourne's southwest. So the Australian Federal Police, the AFP... Oh my God, sorry, I'm just so shocked by this. Alleged that the couple exercised coercive control over the woman, physically assaulting her and controlling the victim's movements between January and October of 2022. It's alleged that Chi Kit, or Max, 44, and Angie Lau, 29, kept a woman in domestic servitude at their Point Cook home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How did they do that? How did they keep somebody like that? So the couple of the Melbourne's magistrate faced court today, where Lau's lawyer, Payne Wu, said he had not yet determined if he was acting for Chong. There's too many Asian names in here and I can't bring my head around it. So authorities began investigating the couple in October last year after they received a report from a healthcare worker about a victim showing signs of human trafficking. Police raided the Point Cook home in October 27 last year. The man and woman have both been charged with the possession of a slave, using coercive and threats to cause another person to enter into or remain in servitude, and having control over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in there, because I was just too busy paying attention to the story. Over a slave. Jeebus. The pair face a maximum penalty of 25 years imprisonment if convicted. Oh, I hope they get convicted. Jesus. So Wu said that they hope to reach a decision on representing Chung in the next week or so. So he's not even sure if he wants to represent them, which I agree with. Told the court that he believed that he and his wife already shared the same lawyer, but would find another if needed. Well, I think they do need to be tried separately, 100%. Commonwealth prosecutor Zoe Hugh said their alleged victim was a vulnerable adult who would not be required to give evidence in the committal hearing against them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously they have enough evidence. But the court heard other witnesses may include people who interacted with the alleged victim. She's not alleged, she is a victim. At the hospital and medical centre she attended. Their case was adjourned for further committal mention until June 19th. They are both out on bail, which is ridiculous. Keep them imprisoned. I really hope they didn't have kids. Honestly. And if they did, where are they? Oh, that poor woman. I just keep thinking about her. Poor unfortunate soul, in pain, in need. This one wanting to be thinner, that one wants to get a slave, and do they get one? Yes, indeed. I can't believe that. Like, if you had told me that and I didn't read it from a news web, I would have thought that you guys were full of shit. I would have been like, whatever, that doesn't happen in today's society, surely not. But no, it did. I wonder if she had a below average IQ. Not that I'm blaming the victim, I'm just saying I wonder why they called her a vulnerable adult. I mean, obviously she was susceptible to kidnapping, so that makes her a vulnerable adult, but I wonder why under the law she'd be considered a vulnerable adult. She'd have to have some sort of disability of some sort. So, nah, do I want to read that one? Nah, I don't want to read that one. A taxi driver has been carjacked at knife point in Melbourne. Something is happening in Melbourne. I don't know what it is. Something's in the water in Adelaide and Melbourne where everyone's getting their machetes and their guns and they're not their guns, their knives out and they're stabbing people. Like, seriously. What's going on, Melbourne? What's in your water? What's going on, Adelaide? What's in your water? What is happening? Why are you hurting each other so badly? So a taxi driver has been threatened at a knife point during a carjacking in Melbourne's southeast. Investigators believe that the driver picked up 3 male passengers at Bambi Grove just before 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Not Thursday. Today's Thursday, Hayley. Yes, it is. Police say the men armed with a knife made the driver get out of his car before speeding away in it. The stolen taxi was found dumped on Bryan Street in Clyde, about 4 kilometres away. So just went and took the taxi for a free ride for some reason. And the 38-year-old driver was not physically injured and no arrests have been made at this stage. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they just jumped into his cab, said, "Get out, motherfucker." And he was like, "Okay, bye, don't tell me twice." And he left. And then they drove the vehicle 4 kilometres away and dumped it. I don't understand. Why? Why, Felicia? Why did they do that? Tell me why, ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why. Oh my god. So now we have another police shooting. So a man shot dead by police in Sydney after allegedly threatening officers with knives. So we had this happen the other day. Now it's happening again. A man has been shot dead by police in Sydney after allegedly threatening them with knives, which is what I already just said. So 2 police officers responded to a call out about residents being threatened in North Willoughby at about 11:30 a.m. today and were allegedly confronted by a man with 2 knives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't bring a gun to a knife fight. Constable shot the man dead at the scene. You know what? I'm starting to think that the New South Wales police are a little bit trigger happy. No other injuries have been reported, but there was a heavy police presence at the scene. One woman told 9 News that she felt shocked and saddened that someone has died, and I agree. I also feel that way. We just heard quite a loud shouting and a man quite upset, and then 3 gunshots, she said. Well, I don't know. They were gunshots. We just heard loud bangs, and I thought, was that gunshots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as a fellow Aussie, I can say I also have never heard a gunshot, so I would also be like, was that gunshots? Then we heard this street had been blocked off, and then we heard helicopters, and then we closed our doors and we stayed inside. Yeah, me too, Felicia. I would have stayed inside too. I would have been like, nope, not today, Devons, not today. No thanks. Polite pass. The shooting will be investigated by the homicide squad and a report will be prepared by the coroner, and hopefully we will find out what happened and I'll get more information about that because I think it's ridiculous. Why are police shooting all these people? Why aren't they tasering them? And when they are tasering people, they're tasering little old ladies who are 95 years old. What the fuck? So police are investigating the circumstances of the incident and it will face the Professional Standards Command. 5, 6. So we have police tasering little old ladies. We have police shooting an Aboriginal man because he lost his shit. A mentally ill Aboriginal man, by the way. First Nations, sorry. And then today we have another one. Another man has been shot. Ridiculous. So this next story is out of WA. An armed man snatches a rifle from a WA gun shop, sparking a manhunt as the Premier vows a statewide crackdown. So a statewide crackdown was announced after a rifle was fired at a Perth school. So police are searching for a man who entered the gun shop with a handgun and snatched a long-arm rifle and ammunition at about 8:50 a.m. local time. And then he is believed to have left the area in a silver Holden Commodore. Why do all criminals drive Holden Commodore wagons? Why? Does it come with a criminal kit? Is it just like, oh, I'm a criminal, I want a Holden Commodore, here we go. I swear to God, I grew up my whole life living on streets with Holden Commodores everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I owned a Holden Commodore once, and I don't think I've ever been pulled over so many times in my life by police. So many times. So WA police have issued an urgent alert following the armed holdup. The accused has been described as light-skinned with dark hair under a cap, aged between 25 and 30. He looks younger than that. With a stocky build, he was wearing a dark-coloured long-sleeve shirt layered over a white shirt on black shorts. They raised concerns about the number of guns registered in the state and vowed to deliver the toughest gun restrictions in Australia today. They're fed up. They've had enough. So no one's getting anything. That's one in all in. They said there's currently 360,000 licensed firearms in the state, and that number has increased in recent years. We need to stop ourselves from falling into the terrible abyss that America has fallen into, the Premier has said. He announced that the arrest of a 15-year-old Perth boy who allegedly brought 2 rifles to an Atlantis Beach Baptist church in Two Rocks in the city's outer northern suburbs yesterday terrified students, thankfully didn't kill anyone, who hid under their desk as he allegedly fired multiple rounds, sparking a lockdown, but he didn't, thank goodness, kill anybody. But that's scary enough. We don't need no school shootings, thank you. We don't need any shootings. But yes, I agree. I agree, Premier. Lock it down. Lock it down. 5 and 6. So they're probably going to have even harsher laws than the rest of the states do. But that's a good thing, because obviously they need it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this last one is 6. I think I've got one left, and ironically, I think I have one story left. And it's about Rolf Harris. I put it off for long enough, so I'll read about it, I suppose. I think I did this yesterday too, around about this time. About the 52-minute mark. Let's have a look. Rolf Harris. So, Rolf Harris is a convicted pedophile and a disgraced former entertainer. He was cremated at a small funeral service after his death was kept secret for almost a fortnight. He had a health decline in recent years, thank God. Harris was jailed in 2014 on 12 counts of indecently assaulting 4 women and girls dating back as far as the late 1960s. He never apologised to any of his victims. The Australian-born artist's death was confirmed last night, with the family stating shortly after the news that had not been made public to ensure that he could have a dignified funeral. Aw, he gets more respect than the victims that he fucking hurt. Aw, so nice of them. It's confirmed that Rolf Harris recently died peacefully, surrounded by family and friends. How nice. And has now been laid to rest. Yeah, you rest, you little head, you fucking pedophile. And that they ask that everyone respect their privacy. Now, I will agree with this. They didn't do it. He did. So how about everyone just, respect their privacy and leave them alone? He is dead now. He can't hurt anyone else. And getting upset at them is just pointless. Plus, they're not going to make any further comments, and I wouldn't either. But I don't believe that he deserved respect from anyone. So Harris died of neck cancer and frailty of old age at his home in Bray in Berkshire, southeast England on May 10th. According to his death certificate, he's seen in the UK's Press Association. We can confirm the death has been registered today, Tuesday night, in Maidenhead. Once one of Australia's and UK's most well-known entertainers, Harris was jailed for 5 years and 9 months in 2014. By a judge who said he took advantage of the trust placed in him due to his celebrity status. I never really liked Rolf Harris. Thought he was the biggest fucking creep ever, and I'm so glad that my gut feeling was correct. Not that I ever had a chance to be anywhere near him, but, Just how sometimes you just get that feeling about people. Anyway, so he clearly got a thrill from committing the offences whilst others were present or nearby, and the abuse had significant adverse effects on its victims. Any abuse has significant adverse effects on their victims. Compacted by the fact that no one ever fucking believes us. So, you've shown no remorse for all of your crimes, Sweeney said. Your repugnant lies in ruins, and you have been stripped of your honours, but you have no one to bail yourself out. Blame yourself. No one to blame but yourself, sorry. And after 3 years behind bars, he was released in 2017 while facing a second trial for 7 more charges. He was acquitted of 3, and the jury were undecided on 4. And that was basically just due to the age of the cases. Unfortunately, there's a statute of limitations on rape cases, and that's ridiculous, but anyway, there's nothing we can do about it. So prosecutors decided against another trial, and he was returned to his home near London. So he was born in Perth's eastern suburbs in the 1930s and had been an award-winning swimmer as a teenager. He worked as a teacher and made several unsuccessful attempts at art at school, including a children's television show called Rolf's Cartoon Time and Animal Hospital. He had a number of hits in the 1960s, and he reached international fame with novelty songs such as Tie Me Kangaroo Down Sport and Two Little Boys. And he was known famous worldwide for his warble board. So you know that wobble board. He enjoyed a 60-year career as a successful television presenter before songwriter and artist, and made England his home before he was he reached his height of his career on his 80th birthday, when he had the chance to paint he was given a chance to paint an 80th birthday portrait of Queen Elizabeth II in 2015 and starred in her Diamond Jubilee outside Buckingham Palace in 2012. But eventually, the abuse he admitted finally caught up with him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he was disgraced. So yeah, I'm not going to say that I relish in people's deaths. However, I feel that all pedophiles just need to go the way of the no longer alive route, if you will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's all I have for you guys today, and I am glad for his family that they actually kept it a secret, because it means that they were able to mourn their family member without the press being there and without everyone having their 2 cents worth, if you will. So I'm glad that they were able to get that piece, because he's dead now, so he doesn't care anymore. 5 and 6. I feel sorry for all of his victims, because let's face it, for every person that came forward, there would have been a bunch who didn't, because it was just too hard basket, because it wouldn't have been worth it. Once he was caught out, he wasn't going to hurt anyone else, was he? But he never made any apologies for anything that he ever did, so what a jerk. Alright, well that is it for me today. I have finished with that part of it. By the time you guys see this, I should probably have all 9 squares done to this point, and then tomorrow's video will have the start of the next 8 rows. So this is 8 rows, and then tomorrow will be another 8 new rows, so it should be twice that. But basically it's going to go like that. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, break. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, break. See? It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and they're just going to be huge. They're going to be huge. Okie dokie, artichokes, goodbye, good night, and I shall see you later. Bye!